Welcome to the World Trade Webcast, your source for news, analysis, and information about doing business worldwide. I'm Greg Sandler, president of ThinkGlobal.com, the B2B marketplace for global trade leads. This week on the World Trade Webcast, we'll give you a preview of the upcoming Discover Global Markets Conference in New York, which will focus on business opportunities in Greater China. Our guest this week is Craig Allen, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Asia at the U.S. Commerce Department's International Trade Administration. Craig, welcome to the World Trade Webcast.
Well, thank you very much, Greg. It's a great pleasure to be here.
And we're happy to have you. And before we actually talk about what's on tap for the China Forum and review some of the changes and opportunities in the Chinese marketplace, would you give everyone a quick overview of your experience in China?
Well, thank you very much. I have had the privilege to work on China for approximately 30 years, mostly at the Department of Commerce. I've worked on China, therefore, since trade was nearly negligible until today, when trade is enormous, surpassing $500 billion. So what a great ride it's been, and how exciting it is to consider the prospects for the future.
We're certainly glad to have you here sharing your expertise with our viewers. And for starters, I was hoping you could give us a big picture overview on why U.S. exporters should be thinking about China.
Well, thank you very much. I'm really excited for this opportunity. On October 6 and 7 in New York, we'll be looking at Greater China, which is the fastest growing region of the world. U.S. exports to China last year surpassed $122 billion, our third largest export market in the world. Hong Kong was our ninth largest export market in the world at $42 billion. Singapore, our 13th largest export market in the world at $31 billion. And Taiwan came in at 16 at $25 billion. And thus, in 2013, U.S. exports to Greater China reached $220 billion, very close to U.S. exports to the entire EU last year at $262 billion. But Greater China is growing very quickly. While U.S. exports to the EU declined last year, to China they rose about 10%. And we expect continued very strong growth as far as the eye can see. So why is that? China's economy continues to grow rapidly, not at the very frantic pace of 10% GDP growth of the 80s, the 90s, and the noughts, but last year about 7.5%. And we would continue that rate of growth for the next 5 to 10 years. China will continue to grow very rapidly as hundreds of millions of Chinese move from the country to the city. And this creates export opportunities across the board, especially for small and medium-sized American companies. 92% of American exporters to China are small and medium-sized enterprises, comprising 35% of the value of exports. And this will only continue to grow in the future.
Very interesting perspective. And so what we're seeing is sort of a tectonic shift here in U.S. trade in general.
I think that that's absolutely true for all of Asia. We're only focused on China here, but you definitely see that phenomenon, not only for U.S. trade, but for global trade.
Excellent. And we'll have an opportunity later in the week to pursue more of the specifics related to these opportunities that we're seeing in the Greater Chinese marketplace. Tomorrow, in fact, we'll focus on the economic outlook in Greater China, regional differences, hot sectors, and the central government's 5-year plan. On Wednesday, we'll talk about the U.S. government's China strategy and the support that's available to help U.S. companies export to Greater China. On Thursday, we'll focus on virtual China, e-commerce opportunities in what's now the largest digital economy in the world. And finally, on Friday, we'll talk about the fastest growing industries for exporters in China. To learn more about opportunities in China, consider attending the Greater China Business Forum, a 2-day conference that will be held October 7th and 8th at the New York Athletic Club in New York City. More information about Discover Global Markets Greater China Forum is available online. And please join us tomorrow for a look into China's economic crystal ball. And for our latest schedule of upcoming Think Global webcast episodes, subscribe to us with any of the links below and bookmark this page. All of our previous webcasts can be found right here at thinkglobal.com/webcast. And thanks for watching.